All right, well, welcome. In this video, we're going to be looking at something called synthetic division, and this is how we would divide two polynomials, specifically a polynomial divided by what would be called a linear polynomial. Like here, we have x cubed plus x squared minus 5x minus 2 being divided by x minus 2, and x minus 2 would be linear if you were to graph it, so we would say that's a linear polynomial. Now over here to the right, we have the steps of how you would do this using synthetic division. To start with, we're going to take and identify or find what the zero is of what we call the divisor. The divisor is what we're dividing by. So we're going to find the zero of this piece. So if we set that equal to 0 and solved it, we would get x equals 2. So the 0 here would just be 2. So we're going to start by writing down just what that 0 is. And now we're going to look at everything that we're dividing, the x cubed, x squared, minus 5x, minus 2. We're going to look at just the coefficients. Now, one thing to identify first, we want to make sure that every term is represented. And so if you notice, our degree here is 3. So you want to make sure that whatever the degree is, that we would have all the ones before it all the way down to 0. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Sure enough, we have that because the constant doesn't have a variable, so we call that just the 0 term. If there was one of these missing, like let's say if there hadn't been an x squared here, well then we would fill that position, so we would have 3, 1, and then no x's. So we'd fill that position with a 0x squared. Now, that's not the case here, but I just want to mention that because our next example will be like that. But we're going to start with the coefficients. The coefficients for these first two terms are just 1. So we write down 1, 1, negative 5, negative 2. Again, we're doing just the coefficients and then the constant on the end. And then we're going to set this up by putting, I like to put this little box on the end. That just reminds me that's where the remainder will go, if there is a remainder. So I say that that box catches the remainder. All right, so what's the process? We're going to bring down the first coefficient. So I'm on step 2 here. We're going to bring down the first coefficient, which is just 1. And then we're going to multiply the 0 by the first coefficient. So we're going to multiply those together. 2 times 1 is 2. Add those together, I get 3. And now we're going to repeat that process with the next one. So I'm going to take 2 times 3 is 6. Add those two together, negative 5 plus 6 is 1. Repeat the process one more time. 2 times 1 is 2. When I add these together, I get 0. So this is a remainder of 0. So now we're going to, the numbers that left over, so we're at the very last step, the numbers that result are the coefficients for the solution. The last number is the remainder. So the order that it goes is the last number is the remainder. This is going to always be our constant, meaning that's not going to have a variable. But then we would go in ascending order from right to left. So our final answer is going to be x squared plus 3x plus 1. So when I divide that polynomial by x minus 2, the result is x cubed plus 3x plus 1. Another way to look at that is we could write this in factored form, saying that our results times x minus 2 would give us, whoops, if we were to multiply those together, it would give us the numerator. Okay, so we could use this to factor a complex polynomial. All right, so we're going to look at one more. So let's look at this one. So again, this one's a little trickier. I'm going to help you get this one set up, and then I'm going to have you guys do the rest on your own. So we're going to start with recognizing what the degree is. The degree is 3, so I want to make sure that all the terms are represented. So I should have 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm missing a squared. So I need to put a 0x squared in the right position here. So when I go, and first off, I'm going to find the 0 here. So 0 would be negative 2. So we're going to start with negative 2. And then my coefficients would be the 3. And then we have the 0x squared, and then negative 16, and then negative 10. So the signs that are in front of those coefficients are important. Whoops. Draw our line, put a box here. So I want you guys to pause this video and simplify or divide this out, and I'll tell you what to do with the answer. So go ahead and use synthetic division here, and hit play when you're ready to check to see if you've done it correctly. All right, let's see how you did. First step, bring down the 3. Multiply negative 2 times 3, I get negative 6. Add those together. 0 plus negative 6 is negative 6. Okay, now we're done with that one. Multiply negative 2 times negative 6, I get a positive 12. Add those two, so it's always add. Negative 16 plus 12 is negative 4. Okay, on to the next one. Take negative 2 times negative 4, that's a positive 8. Add that to negative 10. Negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2. Okay, so this time we had a remainder. So I'll tell you what to do with that remainder. This is going to stay your constant. So then we start with our x, then an x squared, going from right to left. So our answer would be 3x squared minus 6x minus 4, and then we could say plus a negative 2 for the remainder. And then what we'd put in the denominator is what we were dividing by originally, the x plus 2. So that is a proper way for you to write your answer. So that is how we use synthetic division.